Hey everyone, welcome back to Bros and Shows. I'm your host, Josiah, aka Mahler67. And with me, as always, I got my buddy. I got my pal, my brother Austin. Austin, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing okay. I had LARP this weekend. Got to enjoy that. Had tabletop this weekend. Got to enjoy that. And then I spent all day today finishing up the show that we watched tonight, this week, and just relaxing, playing games and doing whatever I want. So pretty good week, pretty good weekend. Can't say I'm upset or anything like that. How about you, man?
Busy weekend.
Yeah.
I had such a busy week at work. And then on top of it, I had other work going on in my other job. And then, I'm dealing with the foster kid and all that. And, this weekend, Friday, I got like a little time to myself, like a little bit playing games. So we played a couple games of Magic and hung out with a couple friends. And then yesterday was just clean up the house day, which I hate every week, but we do it. Got all that done, got everything done that we did. Like I had to go to like Marshall's and a couple other stores. And then today I was asked to work 6 a.m. till 10 a.m. And I was like, yeah, I came in and worked 4 hours. And then I came home, and then my wife is really bad at doing this thing where she organizes something and then she just like doesn't organize it ever again. So when something new happens, like where you have to put it in that spot, she'll just throw it there, and then it turns into whatever goes there just goes there. And that was happening downstairs in the basement. So we bought shelves. So I had to assemble a shelf and then go through all the foster care stuff and be like, this is the boys' foster care stuff, like toddlers and baby boys, and this is all girls, and these are the toys. And like, it took me like 4 hours to do all that stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then by that time I was like, gotta go to the father-in-law to do dinner. And then we picked up our foster kid from respite. We came home, and I was like, I gotta finish the rest of The Good Place. So I just watched like the last episode. Not even at 8 o'clock I finished it. So I was like, oh, okay. And then my wife was like, hey, our grocery pickup's at 8. Can you watch the foster kid? And I was like, oh, that's why I'm gonna have to tell him 8:30. And she's like, that's fine. I was like, all right. So
I like how she's like, that's fine. It's like you asked me, you didn't. Okay.
that, and there's like I don't know, you probably remember this. So something did happen this weekend that I'm really happy about, and I'm actually getting into it a lot. So my father, growing up like with our dad and stuff, there wasn't a lot of cool. Sorry, you can't be on camera, buddy. That's against the rules. So our father growing up, we had this thing where like, me and him really didn't get along a lot. We just like had two different personalities and stuff. And I remember, like, do you remember the ice storm of 06? I don't know if you remember.
I remember, yeah, it knocked the power out for like multiple multiple months, or no, like multiple weeks or so. We had like
it was like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
2 weeks straight. Well, so like at that time I was starting to get into guitar and playing rock and roll. And at the time I didn't know anything about Dad really. Me and him kind of butt heads all the time. And I remember the one night he sat up with us while we waited on the stove, because the stove was the only heat we had. And
which also was a very bad thing we did. Like that was a dumb thing we did.
It was stupid. But you gotta do what you gotta do,
No, what I'm saying is that we probably had monoxide poisoning. We were not smart, because
it's fine.
That's probably why we're the way we are, Austin. Probably worse.
Maybe. You never know.
Yeah, go on.
So funny story is at that time my dad told me about how he was in a rock band and stuff. And I was like, no, you're full of crap, And then he showed me like a picture of himself in a rock band. And I was like, oh my gosh, look at that. That is so cool. You know, and then he told me about like his set list they would play and like what he would sing. And I was like, that is so cool. And then I started realizing, like, I went through his office a couple times and I noticed an 8-track player. And I was like, what is this? And he's like, this is an 8-track. Have you ever heard of it? And I was like, I've heard of 8-tracks, but I've never seen one. He's like, yeah, I loved my 8-track player, but it's broke. I don't know, you know, it just broke one day. So I was like, oh, okay. You know, so for his birthday the year after, I fixed that 8-track. And then he started listening to the 8-tracks all the time. Me and him sat up for like, I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning listening to albums. And it was, what was great was when I told Mom, like, I was like, hey, if he's getting rid of anything, there's only one thing I want from him, and I want the 8-track player. And she's like, yeah, he already said, like, that's yours. And I was like, okay, good. So the first album I ever listened to with my father was, and then got me into that band, was called a band called Jethro Tull. And Jethro Tull, the guy plays a flute. And I have the 8-track that me and him like played, but it does not work. It is broke. I've been trying, so I ordered a new one, but this is the original one. I'm going to make a display of this with a picture of my dad in a rock band and then me with him. And I'm gonna like frame it, and it's gonna be like just something that, like, you know, it's me, you know, if, you know, whenever that time comes where I need to think of him, I'll just be like, hey, you know, like, remember that moment we had when I listened to Aqualung for the first time. So yeah, it was kind of cool. And I started going back, and then I realized, I was like, my dad had like this crazy, I realized why I have a certain taste in music, because my dad was sporadic like I was, because like I looked at his 8-tracks and was like, I didn't know he liked that. I didn't know he liked that. Did he just buy that just to be like, yeah, I'll try it out? Or did he buy it and like really liked it? So I was going to ask him like all these questions about, hey, you know, like, did you like it or not? So sorry about my rant. I just wanted to say that was the cool thing I did this weekend.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
Yeah.
That's cool. So did Mom give you all the 8-tracks now, or did you have them?
I have all the 8-tracks now. Like she gave me all of them. I have the stereo. My wife was like, look, it's between the vinyl player or the 8-track. And I was like, ugh. Vinyls are still being made. 8-tracks are not. They're obsolete. Yeah. No one uses them. So it's more of like a collector thing. So I was like, but this is more of like a sentimental thing to me.
Yeah.
It's not about collecting. And the vinyl was about collecting. So I was like, this is more sentimental to me. So
you said that you can never watch Inuyasha again.
I never said that. Give me 1 second here.
Okay. Well, as Austin and his wife talk about Inuyasha, I think that's really cool, Austin. I think that's solid. They're talking it out. I think what is kind of funny about that when it comes to the like 8-track stuff is that I remember being a kid and seeing that all the time and just being like, all right, well, 8-tracks, okay, whatever, man. So
yeah,
that's cool. That's cool, man.
Yeah. So I'm back.
Yeah,
I was messing with the restriction settings on the kids thing. And I accidentally blocked out something he really likes, and I didn't mean to. And I was like, hey, I was just trying it out. I'll fix it. And I forgot to fix it for him. So he was coming in to be like,
hey, fix my crap.
Like, hey, what the heck's going on? Like, I can't watch Inuyasha. So I was like, oh, hey. You know,
oh, well, if he can't watch Inuyasha, that makes complete sense. He should have came in with a baseball bat, Bart style.
Yeah.
No, Austin, that's good. That's all good. I think that's solid. Cheerio then. Cheerio. Oh, did you hear the news?
Which one?
Avatar: The Last Airbender is getting a new series.
Together.
No, a new series.
Oh, it's getting a new series, and it was announced that it's going to be a magic set.
Oh, I don't care about the magic. I only care about the.
Well, there's so many different things that I learned this week that, like, when you said that, you're like, did you hear about? And I was like, oh, which one? Because there's also a very scientific story that happened this week, from a company that you wouldn't expect to have that. So, I don't know if you know, but we have a new element now. Like, there's a new element in the world
Oh yeah.
on a micro level, and that is Microsoft invented this new element. And
Oh, are you talking about the qubit chips?
yeah, like they came
So-
out and said, "Hey, this is something that like we can do now." It's like
I was watching like some videos where people were talking, discussing it, and they're like, "That's awesome." And then they asked like, "Hey, can we get like a peer review study of this to like prove what you're saying is true?" And they basically said no. And it's like, so you're just telling us to believe what you have right now, because they didn't show nothing, they didn't activate anything, they just said that it's that. So for all we know, they're just blowing smoke up their butt. We don't know.
It'd be cool if they didn't, because it'd be like Jarvis. It'd be sweet.
Well, it would be great for like science innovations and everything.
Yeah.
And it also means AIs would take over the world at a much faster pace than what we're already going at. So life is good. Life is great. But no, what I was talking about is Avatar has announced a third season.
Yeah.
It's 20 years after Avatar, the first series completed. And the series takes place after Avatar Korra. And apparently the world is being decimated and destroyed, and the world views the Avatar as the bad guy now. Because it's something that a previous Avatar did. I don't know, I've never finished Korra. So I guess it's time for us to watch Avatar Korra, Austin.
Yeah, sounds like it.
If they're going to do that. On top of it, you mentioned Magic. Magic the Gathering has been releasing the Final Fantasy set cards, and I've been kind of nerding out with people over them and just enjoying it. And there's only one card I truly care about right now. And can you guess what that card is?
Is it Cacti?
It's the Cactuar.
Yeah,
Because you know what I thought of whenever I saw that baby? I'm like, that thing screams for Erickson to be used. Just imagine Erickson's like, I'm attacking, come, Cactuar. And then the Cactuar murders the player and then just turns to him and just murders him. Like,
yeah, see, like,
there's so many crazy things you can do with it.
Yeah, that's why I said that I was going to put it in Hans when I first saw it. Just because it does have the value Wowtown for Hans Eriksson. But also what's great is it brings back one of my favorite cards in Magic. I've seen a lot of people like bring it up. So one of my favorite cards in Magic, I have won twice and made two people salty at a game store for it when I used to play Modern, and that card is called Fling, and that's where you just play Fling and
do the damage.
I love Fling. I used to like.
I've been seeing
get a vampire big and then just fling him. I've
been seeing people like make combos with him because like. For anyone who doesn't know, Cactuar is a 1/7, which isn't impressive, but it has the power called 10,000 Needles. And it's on your turn, this creature gets 9,999 damage or attack, effectively giving it 10,000 attack. Just for reference, the player's life total is 20 in single player and then 40 in like commander type deal thing. That's overkill. And it's like screaming, please stop, overkill. And so like a lot of people are like, oh my gosh. But people were looking at that card. People were looking at the Moogle that allows you to just give things for people. People were like, there's going to be some crazy stuff with that. And then they also were showing off a couple things. And the one thing I really liked was they showed off Emmett Selt, who is one of the antagonists of Final Fantasy XIV. And he has the effect that if you have 14 cards in your graveyard, you can transform him, which is a reference to in-game because he's trying to destroy the 14 shards in order to bring back his god Zodiark. And so the idea is that he transforms whenever he has succeeded and got all 14 of the shards in the graveyard, transform him, and then he just like plays things from the graveyard for free. And it's like, okay, that's how life goes then. I liked the stylization. I can't wait to see what else they reveal. I'm excited. So me and Jordan were talking about those at work, and me and him were having a good old laugh about that. And then the other thing, Austin,
Speaking of Jordan.
Yeah, well, it's kind of, you know how we played Liar's Bar with Jordan and John?
I saw you were on there the other day.
Yeah, I think it was Saturday. It was either Friday or Thursday night.
Friday.
Me and John played more, and then Whitney got on, and Whitney got it. And so me, John, and Whitney were playing, and they loved the crap out of it. I'm like, it's so simple, it's so basic, and it's just a fun game to just sit and pass time if you're waiting for something else to do or something to have. And so we were having a good old time playing, and it was so funny. In the like 2.5 hours we played, John 1 out of 6 himself like 5 times, and then the one time he played liar's dice, he did we did traditional, and he did spot on twice in a row, and he just wiped me and Whitney, and it's like, John, what the heck, dude? It was fantastic to see. So but no, that was fun. I thought you should hear about that and see about that. But you know what happens to people who die in Liar's Bar, Austin? They go to the Good Place. Austin, this week we're talking about the show The Good Place. A show that Jordan has been telling us to watch for a long time.
Yeah.
He's been wanting us to watch it. We've been kind of hesitant. I don't know why we've been hesitant. It's more of like...
it was also too that the time that he asked us to watch it, it was also the time where it was still finishing up.
No,
because I'm pretty sure. Oh no!
No. He was telling us to watch it. Like around, like we finished. I think Community is whenever we did, and like he's like, if you like this show, you probably like The Good Place. I almost said Good Omens. The Good Place. And we're like, yeah, we'll watch it. And we just never did, because like we kept having other shows we want to watch. I think because at the beginning, whenever we watched Community, that we were still kind of like in the beginning of our show, and we had a long back catalog of things we wanted to force each other to watch. And now it's like, hey, this is a good show, I think I also want to watch, and we're watching things as we are doing it, and we have a little more giveaway.
It was, yeah.
So that was just kind of the thing, and so we kind of put it on the back burner. And then last week we were trying to figure out what we should watch, and I'm like, a couple of the shows I want to watch are like animated, and I know Austin kind of has a couple animated, and we did already like 2 shows that are animated, so let's like break the mold. Let's watch something that isn't animated, and this will probably make Jordan happy. And so we watched The Good Place. And Austin, I have to ask you, what did you think of The Good Place season 1?
So the thing was okay, so one of the real reasons why I never really wanted to watch the show, there's 2 reasons actually. One reason is
it Patrick Oswald? Because it's always Patrick Oswald with you.
No,
I'm joking. Go on.
Yeah. No. So it's kind of like Pat Oswald. So number one thing, it's really hard sometimes to watch network TV comedy. Just not like it, kind of around in this era. It's hard for me to watch it because there is, but I will say there are some diamonds in the rough. But it's hard sometimes to see, like, you know, just original network like NBC shows or something like that, you know, can kind of like be good. And this show came off as like something that was like, you know, something your grandma would watch. And but I never really thought of it. Like, you know, it was just like, oh, I don't want to. And then my wife started watching it, and I watched 2 episodes with her when she started watching it. And this was like 2 years ago when she started watching it. And I was like, what is this? And she's like, The Good Place. And I was like, oh yeah, Jordan's been trying to get us to watch this. And she's like, I was like, is it good? She's like, yeah, I like it. It's good. I watched like the first 2 episodes with her. And then I was like, all right, I'm not impressed. I'm done. And I just like walked away. But I think the reason why I didn't give it a chance was because my number 2 reason, and that's Kristen Bell. I do not like Kristen Bell. I've never liked her. I just don't think she's funny. I just don't. I don't know. It's just maybe her tone or how she talks. I'm just not a fan of her. Oh, look at that face. No, I'm just not a fan of Kristen Bell. Like, there's nothing out there that I have watched that I've been a fan of. I consider her kind of annoying as a character, or even as an actress. I don't like her. I just think she's annoying.
Okay.
Now, saying that, I do say that some of the supporting cast were really good. I enjoyed a lot of supporting cast of the show. You know, I thought her soulmate was great. Ted Danza was on there. I love Ted Danza. So when I knew Ted Danza was on here, I was like, all right, at least I can get to watch him. But you know, I have someone in the show that I really enjoy. He's Michael.
Yeah, I know. No.
Yeah.
I had a long conversation with one of the people from LARP about it, because I was telling him that I never watched it, and he's like, "Oh, you never watched it?" And then he started talking to me. He said Ted Danza, and I was like, "I don't know who that is." He's like, the Angel Michael," and I was like, "Oh, okay," or the Architect or whatever they call him. He's like, he was the main character from, I think he said Cheers, and I was like, "Oh, I know that because of Adventure Time."
No, I've known Ted Danza's been in some really good shows that I've like watched, and a lot of good movies that I've watched with him in it. So, you know, when I saw Ted Danza was in this show, I was like, oh, good. Like, at least I have like a familiar face. And then what's really funny is I've been told by like, so I talked to someone at work about this show. I was like, yeah, this is what we're watching for a podcast. And she's like, oh, really? That's a really good show. She's like, it's got some really cool people from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And I was like, wait, what? And she's like, yeah, which season are you on? I was like, season 1. She's like, oh, I'm sorry if I spoiled it. And then I was like, oh, no. And she's, you know, I was like, I don't really care.
Yeah, knowing who's on
told
it,
me,
you don't know.
Yeah, so she told me actually who was on it. She was like, Mark Evans is on it. And I was like, oh, Mark Evan Jackson. He's the guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's Captain Holt's husband. And then I'm not going to tell you this one because you know this person, so I'm not going to say it, but it is someone from someone from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and then another person from Brooklyn Nine-Nine that I'm not going to say because they're super popular. But she told me that there's a lot of different actors that show up in that show, and it gets like huge.
So I mean, already in this season, like, there's a couple that I recognize from, like, I recognize them from things that I don't know. I recognize them from stuff that I'm like, okay, I know this person. I've seen this person before. And I think I figured out, like, I know that there's one of the characters who's like flying that she talks to is played by I forget her name, but she was in the web series called The Guild with Felicia Day. She was one of her clan members, guild members, and I saw her and I was just like, I recognize her. I think her name's like Kimmy or something. I'm probably wrong on that. I haven't looked her up. And then the other person I recognized was the friend of Jason, the one monk dude who locks him in the safe and then he suffocates to death. That friend who put him in there, I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's on like the Tonight Show, where I've seen him in other things and I recognize him, but I don't remember what it was. So like, I'm recognizing people as I'm like, I've seen you before. So I'm sure that I'll probably get a lot more of those as it goes on.
I will say this. I have seen the guy that plays Jason.
Yeah.
Not in a good show though. I've only seen him in like a terrible show. Which was Star Wars Acolyte.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was in that. So like when he popped up on the screen, I was like, hey, that's the dude from Acolyte.
Well, I also recognize the judge.
Name.
The dude who plays the judge.
Oh yeah.
I recognize him, but I forget what he was from. I've seen him in multiple things. And then I've also recognized Adam Scott, who plays the one. Oh no, there's two people actually. I'm actually really excited about this other one. Adam Scott, who plays the one dude from The Bad Place, who comes up and he's like flirting with her, and he's like the antagonist. Dude from Parks and Recreation. But the other person is named Zeke, and he was one of the people that was on the couch like eating the poppers, and he was from The Bad Place. He's actually on Dropout, the stuff I show. He does just a lot of things, and the main thing I think a lot of people will know him from is he was on the Make Some Noise, or it was a Game Changer episode that was a musical based one, because he does musical improv as well. And so whenever I saw him, I was like, you love seeing people from that. And so, yeah, that made me really happy. So, yeah, no, I was kind of surprised by the cast and who's coming in, who's not. And it was one of the things that I told Jordan as I was watching it, because I watched like maybe four of the episodes throughout the week or earlier in the week before the weekend came that I could watch more of it. And I told Jordan that I don't know who the main cast is right now. Like, it hasn't clicked on me yet. Because, like, you have, like, the four of those. Like, Chidi, Jason, Eleanor, and Tahani. And then I'm like, I don't know if the one robot Janet, or she's not a robot, whatever she is, like, the one Janet character, and then Michael. I'm like, is that the whole cast? Is there more? Because they keep introducing these other characters I see constantly, but they seem to be more like B characters. And I'm just not sure. And he said it's very much like Community, where when you begin, there's like a degree of you like getting lost in all the different people and not knowing who's actually part of the main group. And then after a bit, you kind of realize like, okay, this is the main group. This is the main group part B, like the Dean and all those guys. And then this is like the secondary characters, like Leonard and all those. By the end of this first season, I figured out who's who. So I think I'm pretty okay with that. But awesome. Anyways, keep going. Sorry, I kind of like deterred you for a bit.
No, it's just I think the premise is okay. It is something that has been used before. I just can't put my finger on it, because when I heard it and I was like, oh yeah, someone went to some place and they're not, it's not really them or something, they're lying. I'm trying to think what movie I know that does that.
I don't think it's that rare of a concept.
Yeah, it's not. So like, I was like, okay with it. But I will say this. Some of the jokes were great. I really enjoyed that you can't curse, and I think that's hilarious. I think that was a really good thing. I
like that it's consistent.
Yeah, it is.
If it was just a thing that in the first,
and then they went in it,
and they don't weigh on it. Yeah. Like like occasionally someone will say something, and they'll move on and not think about it. The only time I think there was a little bit of a cringe to it was when Michael said it. And I'm like, it's because they tried to weigh it heavy. Like, oh, it's Michael saying it. And it's like, oh. I mean, I get it, but like, ooh, who cares?
Yeah. But no, like, it's consistent. Some of the storylines very consistent. I just, some things I did feel that like it dragged on a little bit. And I was just like, yeah, I'm done. Like, because it was like a running joke, and to me, some of the jokes, the comedy level's not my style really, but I will say there is a lot of things that I enjoyed and I liked. Like, this is a show that I could sit down and I didn't have to focus too much on.
No,
like there was a lot where I was just like vacuuming and I was cleaning and it was in the background, and I still got the premise of it, so I didn't have to like be like, oh my gosh, what's next? The only time that I ever really, I feel like I had to like pay attention was the ending, the season finale ending, because of the twist that happens. I was like, oh, okay, well, okay, that's interesting. I was like, this reminds me of something else that kind of ended like this. And it like left you off on this whole like, hey, it's now going to restart type deal. Or is this new, or is this really where we're at? It's very interesting of just how characters work in the show. I really think that there is some great characters in the show. I do not like Kristen Bell one bit. It's just how I am. I just don't like her.
I actually find her very enjoyable in this.
Oh man,
like,
I can't.
Here's the thing, right? I think it's because there's a little bit of what doesn't make sense, right? And I think this was the thing. I kind of got like the vibe on what was going to happen. Like, oh, this isn't actually the good place, blah, 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 blah. Because I was even talking to my friend at the LARP about it, where I'm like, it feels like, I think the concept of that of it makes sense, right? But I feel like that's maybe a season 1, season 2 thing max, and there's apparently 4 seasons of this. I don't know how they're going to continue this, like make it a thing, right? And whenever they introduce like Kristen Bell and she's like, I'm not who they think I am, and I'm actually this kind of bad person, it's funny to me because you constantly hear the things that she says in her life or what she did in her life, and I'm like, you don't really see that connection with this character in the afterlife. I feel like the person that they're saying who she was and who she is now in the afterlife doesn't actually make that much sense. They seem a little disjointed. She doesn't seem as much of a jerk in the afterlife, you know? And so I was like really confused. I'm like, I don't understand this. But then like you gotta get more reveals or whatnot. The whole like resetting stuff, whatever. Well, I'll see how it goes effectively. I like the concept of that to a degree, but are they going to do that every season? Like 4 seasons of that? It seems a little... I'm wondering how they do it. And a lot of people, like my one friend who talked to me, said like they end the series very strong. They thought the series finale was fantastic and it made you feel good for watching the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, that's a great thing to look forward to. One of my biggest fears whenever I watch a show, especially something that's beloved by like the cast and like the crew and people watching it, is that the ending is very half-hearted or it gets canceled and it doesn't feel correct and vice versa and all that stuff. But knowing that it apparently has a good ending, I'm willing to ride it out 100%.
Yeah, that's how I feel on it. Like I haven't heard anything bad about the show. Like I haven't heard anyone say, "Oh no, I hate this show. The show's terrible." You know, and it's my bias probably with Kristen Bell because I've watched so much stuff with Kristen Bell that I just she plays like that one-dimensional character, and she always plays that character. So like I just feel like, you know, like it's like rewatching stuff. Like she's huge. She's a huge actor because like her biggest movie she's ever done is Frozen. But you know, she was also in like the first time I ever saw her was in what's that movie? Star Wars one. Fanboys. She plays like the nerd girlfriend. Well, the girl that's trying to get with the nerd. Yeah, okay. That's Kristen Bell. But she's been in like those really weird comedy, like those they're like romantic coms.
Yeah, rom-coms. Yeah,
rom-coms. And like, you know, I dated some people that would watch those constantly, and she just annoyed me. It was just like, I don't like how she plays these personas.
I would kind of argue that's probably not you not liking her. I think you just don't like the genre. Because well, it's kind of fair to not like the genre because it's kind of like,
she's in one of my favorite movies of all time, and I don't like her in that movie either.
You don't
I think
like
that
her in Frozen?
No, I don't like Frozen.
Don't lie. You and your wife are Disney adults.
I am, but I'm not a Frozen fan.
Keep talking.
No, she was in this movie, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I love Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I really enjoy it. Except Russell Brand. I don't like Russell Brand. But I don't know, she doesn't, to me, her character never changes. She's kind of like Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson's a good actor, but he never changes his own role. Like you don't see him like changing it up at all. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it just feels like she's playing it safe. Now I could be wrong. Here's the thing. I'm going to give her some time because you never know. A show like this, you know, first season's usually like, you know, but then they start getting into really good stuff and she could develop into a good character. And I'm like, okay, that gives it. But right now I feel like it's kind of just her being her same person she always acts like. So, but overall for like a network TV show like this, it's not bad. Like it's well written. It's a good premise. I enjoy it. I can see why people do enjoy it. I see me powering through it because I do see a lot of people that saying this is a really good show. You keep watching it.
Yeah.
You know, because usually when you see like a show usually that only has 4 seasons, you kind of go, ooh.
No, that's not. Like, I don't think that's true.
A little bit sometimes. I do.
I see that whenever there is like 8
2
seasons. No, so like, okay, so when I see 4 seasons, I see a like common
That's
era
six
2018, 2000, like I think maybe it's like 2015ish TV show. And that's whenever I wasn't watching TV. But I know that some great things came out then because that was the era of Community, right? And this was around, I think this came out around the same time too. And so 4 seasons, I'm like, that's good, that's solid. The biggest thing important to me is how it ends and why it ends. If it's end because it got canceled, I'm like, okay, what was the feeling of the crowd? Was it canceled because there wasn't enough rating, but people loved it? Or was it canceled because no one liked it, no one watching it, but it was a Nepo baby kind of NBC like craft, right? To be fair, Austin, you know what's funny? How you feel about this show is the reason why I never watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I thought that show is like a Nepo baby thing where I'm like, okay, I see Adam Sandler and I see all these other people. Adam Sandler is, you know, SNL baby. I don't think this show's really funny. I don't think it's going to be good. I'm not going to watch it because of this. And then I'm watching this show and I'm like, I love this show. This is great. And then you're saying this. I'm like, he has the same feeling of this show what I had for Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
No, but that's the thing. What I will say about Brooklyn and this show, the same thing I have with this show, is I like the supporting actors. I think the supporting characters are a better story to me. I like that. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Everyone thinks Andy Samberg is hilarious in that show. I actually like it, and I know if you watched it.
Oh, I have watched episodes. I've watched like
Yeah.
almost the whole of the first season, and like I do very much like Andy Samberg because I was a Lonely Island boy growing up. Like that was hype then. And so like I naturally like see him and I'm just like, he does no wrong. I like him. He funny. But I know what you're talking about because like I love the Chief. The Chief is the best
Captain
character.
Holt. Captain Holt is great. I love Captain Holt, and I think Terry Crews does a really good job.
Yeah,
I think those are really 2 good characters, and it's that's why I like that show. I really like the show because the interaction that I get with Holt and the interaction that I get with Terry Crews, I like those 2 characters. Same way with this show. I really enjoy her soulmate. I like his interactions.
Yep.
And I love Ted Danza and his interaction with his weird assistant.
I like Janet probably the most of everyone.
Pretty funny.
The thing in the show that made me laugh out loud the hardest and like enjoy the most was when they're going to turn her off and she's like, just do know that I have a failsafe that when you go turn her off, I will beg and plead my life as if it was real. And then they step to it, it's like, oh God, no, please no, don't do it. I have a family. Like I laughed so hard. And then like they're like, I can't do it. It's just like, that was a lie. This is actually a picture of the Nickelodeon kids. Like it was very enjoyable. It made me like laugh. I don't know how I feel about the British girl Tahani yet. I felt she was not really explored very much, and I think she's probably going to be explored more next season, because up until the very end of the season, whenever she realizes that they're in the bad place, that she never like realized why she wasn't a good person, that she never did anything without a personal interest. And so I'm like, well, up to that point, we just thought she was a really good person who was a kind of a piece of trash as well. Like she was very self-centered, which is probably why she was is why she's in the bad place. No, I'm interested to see what they'll do in this season. I hope they don't do another reset, because the last thing I want is them just to hold on to the fact that every season is them resetting and it's just us watching them figure out it's the bad place, I guess. Or we're going to find out. So this is where I'm thinking this will go, right? Especially because of how like they frame certain things. Either one, these people are they're either truly in the bad place and this is like a rehabilitation thing for them to be able to go to the good place after so long of them like fighting through this, or it is meant to be internal torture, or I think it's actually Michael's eternal torture, because like, you know, he keeps trying this process and failing, trying it and processing, and he makes it sound like he's only done it once and this is the next go. So I could be wrong there, but because of how he talked to the judge at the end, he's like, I think we can do this again if we just change it a little bit. And he's just like, you're really on thin ice, but you're okay, I'll allow it. And I'm just like, if he's on thin ice, why are you allowing this to continue? It sounds almost like you're just trying to make him think he's on thin ice and let him be in. Yeah, like this is his,
actually in Shutter Island.
that, I mean, that's how this is going to end. Oh my gosh, Austin froze. Austin, are you still here?
I'm still here, but
Okay, you're you froze on the best picture ever.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
what is going
I
on
think
with my
your
camera?
camera's messed up. You may have to unplug your camera, plug it back in, and that may work. That's hilarious, though. Hey, it's a better picture than it was before. It looked like you were about to give us a speech about genetics. But no, like, I'm really enjoying the show. I'm surprised by how much I'm enjoying it. I agree. I think Chidi is very enjoyable, even though his like character flaw is a little annoying to me with his like indecisiveness and things like that. He's not the worst, and I'm just kind of interested in what they do and what they come up with. So I think it was a good first season. It took me a bit. I think after the third episode, which is where I think you said you stopped watching it, was whenever I started like actually liking it and getting into it. So maybe you just unfortunately watched 1-2 less episodes and now you're good.
Hey,
Now.
we're back.
Did you hear everything I was saying, or did you take off your headset?
No, I took my headset off.
Wow,
and I didn't hear it.
Austin.
What'd you say?
You had one job here.
Oh, sorry.
I basically just no, it's fine. I was kidding. I basically was saying like I like Chidi and I liked what they're doing here. And I said basically in this biggest turn, sounds like you maybe watched 1 or 2 episodes, stopped, and it was around the 3rd episode, 4th episode that I got into it.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why you didn't get into it, because I think the first 2 episodes is not as strong as the rest, and then it went fine after that. So I'm excited. I'm actually excited to watch the rest. I'll be honest, if I go to bed tonight, I'll probably put on some episodes before I head out to bed.
I can see that. Like this show is easy to watch.
Very easy to watch.
It doesn't have to have my brain thing in it.
Well,
and this is
there is one thing.
does.
There is one thing I've noticed, and I was talking with my friend from the LARP, and he mentioned it to me, and if he didn't mention to me, I wouldn't have caught it. And that is the ethical dilemmas they show in the series. Did you catch them? Because they break them down in very simple ways, but they make reference to them as you do them. Mm-hmm. Do you know what reference? There was one big one that they did this season. Do you know what it was? It's a very common one. The trolley problem.
Oh, yeah.
The trolley problem of like, if a train's coming, you have to go right way, you kill 3 people. You go left way, you kill more people. Which way is the right one? They did that, and they literally used the trolley in it. They don't call it the trolley problem, because the trolley problem was, if you go right, if we do not kill Janet, who is a robot who figuratively does not have a soul, but will still beg for their life. If you choose to press the button, you kill Janet. If you don't, you kill Michael, who is giving himself up. It's the trolley problem. Mm-hmm. But they present it without calling it a trolley problem, but then they explain that Janet's the one who calls the trolley, aka making reference to the trolley problem. And then there's the whole dilemma about like, hey, if then they further the trolley problem by being like, are you still a murderer if you accidentally pull the trigger without knowing? Because that's what happens with Chidi. He accidentally presses the button to stop another person from killing Janet and inadvertently kills Janet. Is he a bad person for doing that? And there's the ethical dilemma with him and all that stuff. They do that a lot, apparently. And my friend Steve basically told me, he's like, there's a lot of ethical debates that they put in very palatable ways that a lot of people point out, like, this was really done well to make it digestible for people who are just trying to enjoy a show. And I thought that was cool. It makes me want to like look for more of them. I don't know all these ethical debates or like ethical problems. But the fact that we have Chidi, I think he's going to be the alcove for explaining why it's an ethical dilemma. Because he was the one who was explaining the issue whenever Janet explained, like, I am just a inanimate robot. I'm inanimate. I don't have a soul. I have no life. And Michael will be tortured endlessly. Is it fair for him to be tortured and you not to be tortured when you're the actual bad person, he's not, and vice versa? So I do very much like that. And that was the last thing I wanted to kind of jump in there and say, because he pointed that out and I saw it in this season and I was like, yay, that makes me really happy to see that so quickly.
So what's really funny is I just realized when you were talking there who Janet is. I had an epiphany. I was trying to figure out
Who's
where
Janet?
I knew her from. Like a show that I've seen her in. She was in Barry.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, she played the one girl that was part of his girlfriend's like friends. She was one of the friends. Like when she was like, he's crazy, you should get over him. Like he's a nut. And then like she's like, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I remember like her being at a bar talking to Barry.
Yeah,
Because I kept looking at her and was like, she looks so familiar. I don't remember.
She did look familiar. Like when I saw her, I'm like,
Yeah.
she looks familiar, but I don't know where I've possibly seen her from. Now that makes me wonder if I look through her listings real quick, if I recognize anything. I'm not recognizing anything. Huh. Okay. Sorry, no, one of the titles just kind of caught me off guard and made me laugh. Yeah, no, I don't recognize anything else other than Barry where I would possibly know her from. Everything else seems not my wheelhouse naturally. Yep. Oh well. No, but I think she kills it. I think she's doing a great job. Love it for her.
Yep. But yeah, so I'm pretty excited. I'm down to finish this out and see where it goes.
Well, you better be, because I was gonna make you
really-
regardless.
Well, actually, what's really funny is I actually just came in existence of a show that I didn't even know existed, and it has everyone I love in it. So I was like, why haven't I ever heard this? So I've been actually trying to watch that and Good Place at the same time right now.
I actually got told at game about a show. By like it's like a book written by Stephen King, I think it is, but he used a different pen name. And it's like about a house where like a woman will like capture people to continue building the house, and it's like a whole diary of something. And they made a 5-episode miniseries on, I think it was HBO or Hulu of it.
Are you talking about Salem's Lot?
I don't know. It was. I don't think it's Salem's Lot. I think it was something red, but we'll look it up later after the show, because I don't actually know what it was. She told me it could be found on Disney Plus Hulu, so it's there. So I just have to look it up. But I did a plot that she's like, this sounds like this, but to a different degree. Like it's very different. And then she told me about it. I'm like, that sounds great. Can you tell me where I can find this? And she told me.
Oh, so. Rose Red?
Maybe. I don't know. I would have to read the synopsis.
Rose Red is pretty old. Yeah, because Rose Red is pretty old. I was going to say.
It's like apparently, like when the book came out was a scare, kind of like the, what is it called? The Blair Witch or the War of the Worlds. Because like people thought it was real because of how well it was done and all these different things. And I'll have to say it. But anyways, Austin, let's finish out the show. Austin, do you have any last things you want to say about The Good Place season 1?
No, I'm see where it goes, and then I'll see what my prediction is after this season, because I don't really like to predict anything until it like gets to like, at least the second season, especially how this was left off. I'm just like, there's not enough information here for me to predict anything. I just
don't know where they're going for it. Like, if they keep doing the repeat for 4 seasons, they'll have to do it in a way that I feel it feels good, or else I'm going to get frustrated.
Well, the thing is like this repeat's going to be different though, because she left information in Janet.
Yeah, well, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like if the premise every season is just
a reset. Oh,
it got reset, now they try to figure it out again. That's going to get boring. because that's
Yeah.
that's like to a degree it's not the same, but it's to a degree how I feel about the Danganronpa series. Because it's like the first season is like there's a Mergreen and they don't know why they're in this school, and then they find out everything. And the second game is like they're back in this, like there's different people, but they're back in the school and they're in another Mergreen. They got figured out. And then it's like the third one is like they're back in another school and they don't know why they're there. And they have like, it's like I get it. Each time they get thrown in there, they don't know what's going on. They have to find the killer, blah 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 blah. And it just kind of get like, it's kind of like a repetitiveness. Is it fun? Yes, I enjoy it a lot, but it's the same premise, just different characters and different
It's like
vibes.
Smallville.
I haven't watched enough Smallville to say it's like Smallville, but I trust you on that because you watch
Well,
Smallville.
because Clark, Superman, meteor stones, kryptonite makes someone evil. Clark saves day. Next episode, Clark, Superman, meteor rock makes someone mean. Clark saves day, and it just goes like that for like 10 seasons, and you're like,
Hey man, if it works, it works. See, that to me, Austin, is the biggest red flag of them all. 10 seasons, I'm good.
10 seasons. Well, the worst part is 10 seasons, and you only get to see him in the Superman suit, and that's the last episode. And I was like, nope. Now the only reason I like that series is because the guy that Michael Rosenberg, the guy that plays Lex Luthor,
Yeah.
Best
Oh
Lex
yeah,
Luthor
I
ever.
liked him. Yeah.
phenomenal.
Anytime I
So,
see him, I
and
think he's
Giant
Lex
Snuggler.
Luthor. That's all I know him as. I see him, and I'm like, hey, it's Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Even though
And same,
he's,
same
like,
with
humans.
his dad in that series. I look at
Oh,
him anytime
love
I
it.
see him, and I was like, Lex Luthor's dad. Cool.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it would be something else.
That's all I think of.
Gremlins 2.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
no,
it's Gremlins, right?
I know he's in
Yeah.
Gremlins too, but I look at him and I'm just like, Lex Luthor's dead. I think whenever we did Tales from the Crypt, Austin, he was in one of the
Yeah,
episodes,
wasn't
and I
there-
said, I'm
yeah.
like, Lex Luthor's dead.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's like no, it's the same thing because like when Michael Rosenberg shows up like in the third episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia season 1, and he
Mhm.
robs the bar. I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, Lex Luthor.
Lex
how did you
Luthor
do
is on the call again.
that? So yeah, but yeah. So yeah, we're gonna watch season 2.
Yeah, so we'll continue watching season 2. Austin, thank you so much for joining me on this
Yeah.
episode of
thank you.
The Good Place, or Bros and Shows Watches The Good Place, whatever you want to call it. Thank you so much, Austin, and thank you all so much for stopping by, and thank you all so much for tuning in.